Welcome to Startup Spokane, where hosts Steve Traben and Megan Halsey explore the excitement and momentum growing throughout Spokane's expanding startup community. Startup Spokane is a joint effort between Greater Spokane Incorporated's Startup Spokane, our friends at Well Dressed Walrus, and Spokane Talks Online. Now, here are your hosts, Steve and Megan.
Welcome to Startup Spokane on Spokane Talks Media, your podcast home for everything entrepreneurship related in the Spokane region. As you know, Startup Spokane is a program of Greater Spokane Incorporated. So whether you have an idea, you've launched, or you're growing your own business, we're here to provide you with resources that will hopefully help you be wildly successful. And we've got a great conversation in store for you today. Megan, let's get our guest introduced.
Yeah, today I'm really excited that we have Jordan Tampien, co-founder of 4 Degrees Real Estate with us. One of the things that's really important as you're starting a business is knowing where you're going to land, where you're going to have a brick and mortar building, or how to develop and grow into your next space. And that's one of the things that Jordan has a lot of experience with. So let's take a minute and learn a little bit more about your background and what you've been involved with in your time in the ecosystem.
Oh, yeah. What a crazy journey. I always tell people I'm more like a slumdog millionaire. If you ever saw me. People just typically ask me the right question that I just experienced, probably the hardest way. And, experience came up through law school, did that for about a year and realized there's no way I'm behind a desk. Converted immediately to mergers and acquisitions, studied abroad for a while, and just always attracted to Spokane and coming back home. Got tied into the ecosystem early with a job at WSU, and then with Snap kind of on the social impact side, and just saw kind of a gap of how to connect that private side with the other side. Started 4 Degrees about 3 years ago, and just one of those rocket ships you hope you hold on to. And we've been fortunate enough to get amazing people and talent around us. And I mean, let's be honest, if you could have timed any time to come into Spokane 3 years ago, is really dialed in for entrepreneurs. Prices were still low, and there was a lot of people flooding in our market.
I mean, entrepreneurs actually of all kinds. I mean, we've created quite an ecosystem, and just as a little bunny trail, I mean, Jordan, you've been part of it, as you've said, for a long time, and have really helped us in Eastern Washington and throughout the state of Washington in rural entrepreneurship and rural economic development. So we have a lot to thank you for, and having you stay in our region and in our community, working with 4 Degrees is, it's just, we're taking it to a whole new level. And so today's conversation is really kind of down that real estate development track, which is not mainstream for a lot of entrepreneurs. So let's give them a little context. What's it like? Yeah,
well, think about that. I mean, that's the first thing you think about is your idea. You love your idea, you try to get it as soon as possible in the hands of as many people as possible, and you usually overlook the small things like, where are we going to actually create this idea? What does that look like? Do we go to a collaborative space? Do we get our own space? And one thing we've tried to integrate is how important space is in this declining brick and mortar market of Amazon and retailers. We found that space has helped us build more community and a culture that's really helped us grow. Differentiator, do we sell real estate differently? Do we use the same tools? Yes. Yeah. What do we do that's different? We tie community into everything that we do. And so we want real estate to be one facet of what we do well. And I think what you're seeing in Spokane is where the rents have just gone up. On a multifamily side, we manage just over 4,500 units, and you've seen rents jump in double digits the last 3 years. Right. Makes you look really awesome as a realtor when you tell somebody to buy 3 years ago, and now it's worth 2x of what it was. And I think going in, we'll dive probably a little bit more into it, but there's just a lot to know in a lease. Yep. Like our mistake, we started an old building I had. Me and Joel were hunkered in a 10,000 square foot building in a 100 square foot space. That's how 4 Degrees started. Me, my mom, and Joel. Well, Joel. I forgot to put context. Joel is my amazing brother that we started 4 Degrees with, military background. And so I'm the fun guy. He's the serious guy. And we yin and yang, right? Isn't that like the requirement?
That's how it works.
That's the always best.
Exactly. And started there, paying ourselves nothing but covering utilities, and then bought a building on East Sprague. Kind of following one of our models is follow the city, follow the money. And they were just redoing that space. Took an old 2-story building, and I literally was swinging hammers, nails, and we got most of our permits. I'm pretty sure we got all of them. But and even just knowing that, well, we built a lot like, and no pun against them, but like the school district, right? You build for what last year did, and all of a sudden you need portables the next year. So immediately when we were done with that, we had grown 3x. And so we needed another building. So actually just up the road on First Ave, we bought an 8,000 square foot building, gutted it, did like the fun parts that we like, and made it our own. Well, we need another space.
And these spaces are being
Wow.
used for what, Jordan?
Office. So this
Yeah,
is
so you're-
brokerage and management services with a focus on hosting community type activities that
Okay.
generate more conversation around other things than real estate. Actually, if you go in our office, I don't think the words real estate are written.
Interesting.
And that was our model was, hey, we can sell real estate, but we can also do a lot more. So.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm sorry. I'll let Megan ask you a question here in just 1 second, but I just wanted you to spend a little more time talking about community because you keep using that word, and it's.
Well, that was my question,
Okay,
Steve.
yeah. Well, then go ahead. You finish.
No, that's okay.
No,
Yeah.
I just think that I want you to talk more about that because that's the uniqueness of what I think you and your family and 4 Degrees are doing, and I want you to talk more about it, maybe using some examples.
Yeah, I mean, so one of the 4 degrees, well, the most common question, especially our first year, what is 4 degrees? And then why would you ever name a company 4 degrees? And the idea behind it was I worked in government and big nonprofit. And one of the things I found, and we were always trying to prevent, were these silos. And you'll see it all over Spokane in different categories and all over anywhere. And one of the ideas was, well, we really are running 4 different companies. We have a brokerage, we have a management company, we have an investment service, and then we also have a foundation that gives back. And the idea was, how can those not be 4 separate things, but intertwined? And so a degree of separation was the idea behind 4 degrees, is that we have 4 different companies that interact in the community like one. So my goal one day, if you ever see the logo, is that you don't even see degrees anymore. It's just a 4, and you know
Right.
they are, kind of like Mac did with their Apple.
Yeah.
Community to me is one of the ideas is how do we sell more real estate? How do we bring more people to our community? We make our community better, and we don't do that just from the top. We do it from every area. So if you ever see an investment we do, it'll be in a trending or periphery area that needs support. So our project, and we'll probably jump into a few of them, our new office building on 2nd Ave, we bought for $1,085,000. We'll probably put about $2 million in renovations into it. And the idea is taking an area that is underutilized. Traffic counts are high, visibility is high, the space is that old 1900s, 16-foot ceilings, wooden rafters, and integrating that into what our business can look like. Well, what happens when we do that? The building gets painted. There's now 100 people on a daily basis coming in and out of that building. We now have more opportunities to give back with neighborhood cleanups like we've done at all of our other sites. And it's funny when you just start that, it's a ripple effect. My entry into real estate was flipping houses, and you would do one house, and all of a sudden the neighbor felt worse about their house. So what happened? They mowed their yard. Right. Well, then this ripple effect, if you ever watch a flip, you just watch this ripple effect that happens. And we thought, well, works with residential. Why can't it work with commercial? And so all of our locations kind of build off each other, and you create this narrative of, hey, Spokane's not just a place to come to. It's a place to come to and thrive and make something even better. So
Incredible.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the projects you currently have in the works. So what have you got going?
Yeah, so it's a really fun one. On the real estate side, I partnered with my brother on the we own a restaurant, and we're starting a new brewery. I partnered with Matt Goodwin and my brother and one other guy, Ryan Goodwin. And one of the ideas is real estate's a very cash intensive. So what we were trying to do is offset something that you put cash into and you don't get back for a while with something that makes cash daily. And so the idea of restaurants, and then when we did research about major markets throughout the U.S., one of the consistent catalysts in any growing community, even in Spokane, is a brewery. It's a thriving restaurant where people can come and congregate. Coffee shops are similar, but they don't seem to have the impact that a brewery has. And with the connection with restaurants already, we thought, well, what if we could bring in a space? And so we purchased the old Watts Automotive buildings. I drove by that thing 1,000 times.
Where's that located,
So
Jordan?
it's on West First Avenue over by another project we're doing, Rocket Bakery, kind of in that area. And it's a 1-story, the coolest old building. Old brick. Actually, somebody told me it was cheaper to tear it down than it was to fix it up.
Yeah.
And you feel a little hesitant when you hear that, but now we're going to see the exposed brick. And so that project is actually slated. We've done asbestos removal, and we'll actually slated to get going in January. Hopefully be open serving beer in September.
Are these collaborations then? You own the real estate, but then the brewery is actually a different.
No, so I own the brewery too.
You actually own the brewery.
So again, the idea was for me, it's product based.
Yeah.
Like it's what I try to push any entrepreneur to is, hey, I can create a business where I go in and I get payroll, but if I'm not there, I don't make money.
Yep.
And so the more product-oriented or growth-oriented, scale-oriented, to be honest, businesses is what I try to push people to.
Yeah, I just wanted to distinguish.
Yeah.
I think in all of your projects, like the Backyard,
all of them.
Backyard Tavern. I mean, you own those
both.
businesses, and that allows you to really have control over the success, right, of those. It's not like trying to recruit a business or a brewery in, and then.
Well, and it's because we put significant amount into the tenant improvements. So, like one book I read was about Sam Walton. He got kicked out of his first Walmart and said, "I'll never have that happen again." From now on, he buys Walmarts because his rent will always stay wherever he wants it. There's no rent bump at a certain point that he can't mitigate. So it's going to be a pretty awesome project. Across the street, we helped an investor get into what I think will be one of the coolest projects in downtown. It was this merger of old and new, a 7-story tower with 51 high-end units, a retail footage. If you're driving by now, you'll actually see the ceiling height of the first floor. And it was merging these two. We'll actually put a rooftop deck on the existing 2-story building. So you'll be able to have that across the street. And the city did such a great job of bringing in the community on the planning for the CSO tanks. Well, one of the reasons we bought the Watts building was that on top of that CSO tank, they're putting a plaza. So you already see the lights going in, hardscaped, and I love Elkfest, how it got. Everybody has their story of how and why, but why not bring that back and put it in a spot that's designed to do it? Food truck hookups, lighting hookups, place for Christmas tree. We actually have designed in there a place you can put a portable ice skating rink if you want to really activate the plaza. And so we actually get working with city to work on getting the management to run that and have programming in the farmers markets, yoga. I actually want to just sit and play chess in a plaza. I've seen it on movies all the time, and so why not? And I think that's the difference. Is it's no longer sitting back and saying, "Oh, that'd be great if." It's do it and say, why not? Switching that mentality has helped us the most. So it's been pretty impressive.
Well, and I think what's really unique about it is you're catalyzing other activities. You're not just buying a building, rehabbing the building to lease the building. You're creating community experiences for people in our community, for people coming to visit our community, and you're transforming areas of our community, right? So if you talk about second, I mean, you're not talking about the nicest of areas in some of these examples. I mean, you're really kind of not just rehabbing the building, you're rehabbing that area of town.
And
so
and try to do it purposefully. Not like, so the day after we closed on our first First Avenue building, we had 24 people sleeping in the parking lot.
Exactly.
You don't run in and use a bullhorn and say, "Get off our land." It's, hey, there might be a better place to go. Here's some services, and I think it's if we can do it in a way where it's not a us them or a. And I think, I mean, obviously that's a big topic.
It's a
right
big
now.
topic, and this is it's transformational business, and we're having a great conversation with Jordan Tampien from 4 Degrees Real Estate. Stay with us as we go to break, and come back with us when we come back from break on Startup Spokane on Spokane Talks Media.
Is your child having trouble coping with a personal disability, but don't know where to go? Consider our friends at Breakthrough Incorporated. Breakthrough takes great pride in mentoring their DDA clients who have intellectual disabilities and their BRS clients who have challenging behaviors toward the creation of safe, appropriate, ethically sound life goals. They integrate programs at school and home to enrich their lives. They work hard to make a positive difference in you and your family's lives. Breakthrough provides a highly structured, fully staffed residential setting in local neighborhoods, 6 in Spokane and 2 in the Tri-Cities. Diagnoses affect people differently, so their service to each resident is unique, giving them the opportunity to grow and evolve. For more information on Breakthrough, visit their website at breakthroughincorporated.org.
What? You haven't been to the library lately? Stop in today and see that the library is more than books. Spokane County Library District facilities feature on-site technology, including Wi-Fi, computers, and printers, as well as free use of meeting rooms. The Library District offers events and programs for all ages, from story times to career development and employer classes to Social Security workshops. Our staff is well trained and happy to help. Find out more about your library at scld.org.
Welcome to Tom Sawyer Country Coffee.
Tom Sawyer Country Coffee only roasts the finest organic coffee for our signature blends. Enjoy a cup at our coffee shop and local businesses and organizations across the region.
I'm Tom Sawyer, and we choose the Pacific Northwest.
Welcome back. back to Startup Spokane on Spokane Talks Media, where we're having a fascinating conversation with Jordan Tampien from 4 Degrees. You know why it's fascinating? It's fascinating because I thought this was just going to be about any old real estate development, and you've already put all these dimensions on top of it that are, you're activating parts of the community, you're engaging people in the community, you're transforming how people live in the areas around your buildings. It's incredible, and we need to be very thankful for that. So thanks, Jordan. So why don't we start, let's provide people kind of with an update on where you are with your projects, because some of them are up and running, like Backyard Tavern and others, and some are in development. So just a kind of a quick summary on that.
Yeah. So Backyard's been up and running for 4 years. It was the same idea. Anybody ever went to the Broadway Tavern? We came in and just revitalized the area. I would say it's an awesome watering hole. It's a place that's really helping build that, just the outskirts of Kendall Yards.
Yeah, and on Broadway,
On
right?
Broadway.
You should just throw out the address.
Yeah, it's 1811 West Broadway.
Good.
It's, some of the best food, one of the best pretzels in town. I'm telling you. And so the brewery is in process. Me and Matt have been planning for 4 years, just waiting for the right location, the right time. And we hired the head brewer. He's already sourcing the equipment. We've ordered most of it. So that one's in process. The reason we wouldn't open until September would be it takes about 2 months to get the beer we want. And again, first introduction's everything. But what I pictured when we had that space, I was in Portland 8 years ago. They tented an entire plaza in October, full tents, heated it, and it was lined with food trucks. And I said, well, wait. If Portland can do that, we can do that.
So that's a launch coming in the fall of 2019?
And that's going to be a fun one to release. Yeah.
Awesome.
So the idea, and then host something like that. We have a 3-day Oktoberfest there in an area where we're activating something in a positive manner. And what I love about it is how we can tie a lot of that to taking private funds and giving it back in a meaningful way to these amazing organizations that are already doing this stuff in the community, and highlighting them.
Yep.
I would say 4 Degrees more than anything. We do real estate, but I'd say we're becoming a platform. So now we can catalyze different things because we're out in the community doing stuff. And now, hey, Snap needs some funding for their energy assistance. Great. Let's run a drive. Let's run a sock drive for them or something. Let's run an element that helps. So it's been great. Our new office, we're hoping to move in April. And so we'll move in. We've leased out our space on First, and then the new tower project is set to have residents move in September, October.
And where is that? What's the address of that?
That's 1309 West First Avenue, the old Password building they call it. So
got it.
Well, that's exciting. But what I really love about all you're doing is you're changing the way people are interacting, not only with each other's, their neighbors, people who live in the same community that they may have lived in for a while, but you're changing the way they're interacting with the city and the places around them. So making them engaged and more active citizens.
Agreed. And when the city's doing an amazing job, what's great is there's no one person to this.
Yeah.
This is like a collaborative. I remember me and Steve 4 years ago talked about there's got to be a way we can all sit at one table, have one vision, and push this from the city down to our largest developers to, the Kohl's and their project. That's amazing. That's a project you barely see in the best markets. I toured that. That's how you're supposed to do it. And I think finally it's justifying it. We have one of the most amazing parks. And what's great is my job at WSU was studying markets. All I did was study different markets and how they went from X to Y and what was the catalyst, kind of like Jim Collins in Good to Great, but for communities. And we have every piece that could make us massively successful in what we're doing. And
it feels like, there's a lot of momentum in the development sector, right? My day job at Avista, I'm working with the Wonder buildings being rehabbed, and now Stone Properties on the North Bank, and the work you're doing, and what, NAI Black. What's your... Is the pulse as strong as it feels?
Yeah, and so one of the hard parts, I know what I know what I don't know. And I'm newer to that element of it, and our target is up to that $5 million project, with some venture into that $15 million. But we have such amazing developers with so much experience, and they saw what it looked like in a crash. They see what it's looking like trending forward. And I think what's awesome to see is just the leaders in our community are stepping up and really making this a place that's awesome. I think obviously we have some issues, but every city does.
Yeah.
We just have a really good way of going about doing it. So no, I've been from what I've seen, it's been more sustainable. The businesses are there. We don't build anything unless we have a tenant for it. So it's not like we're spec building anything we do. So and I don't think there are that many people that are doing that. And you have a lot more people really seeing Spokane for what it can be. So.
Well, and I'd like to take a few minutes to talk about opportunity zones because obviously that plays an important role in not only creating spaces for startups to find a place to grow and thrive, but also there's an opportunity to invest into startups through those. So can you talk a little bit about what your understanding and participation in those is?
Yeah, so I missed a couple of the Spokane kind of group meetups, but been 3 or 4 conferences, met with Novogradic and a couple other bigger companies on what it looks like. They were designed to bring areas that were less desirable to invest in, make them a little bit more desirable for an investor. Well, Spokane happened to put one of our highest priced real estate areas as one of those areas, which would be our downtown core. Right. And so I think when I've reached out to people on a national scale, a couple of East Coast funds, I mean, they love the Spokane market for that reason, because the real benefit is the 10 years or more, and you don't have a gain on whatever your basis was at that point. Yeah. Now, I will bore everyone to death if I go into details about it, but what you're seeing is a shift of how do we mobilize more money to put it back on Main Street.
And build it up.
And build it up. And I think there's enough gray area in it now where it's going to be interesting to see the first to leap, but I think it's going to be something that really could change the area, and especially because Spokane Airway Heights, North-South Corridor, and downtown, 3 most prominent, and U District.
And they're considered the four opportunity zones in
those census tracts. Yeah. So it's defined by census tract and was picked. And so for just layman terms, the 3 benefits would be for an investor, they can defer a capital gain, usually the sale of a business. Stock market's down a little, so you won't see as many stock gains. But after 5 years keeping it an asset, you basically get a 10% step up in basis. 7 years, you get 5%. And then if you keep it in 10 years or more, then a gain you had on that asset actually is. Yeah.
And that rulemaking has just recently been completed, right? So
I'm not going to use the word completed.
But is it still in process?
Okay. There's enough gray area in there.
No pun intended. I mean, what a great opportunity for our community to build on that as well.
It really is. And if nothing else but mobilize. I mean, I was hearing numbers of like when GU went to the Final Four. I mean, the numbers that come into your community from that, the new Hub Sports Center, the downtown riverfront, there are all these things where it's a lot like what we do. You put a lot of irons in the fire, and some of them get really hot, and some of them start going, and then all of a sudden they all feed off each other, and it's this thing where, I mean, what if we added tourism as a major industry here?
Right.
All of a sudden, numbers that we were trying to predict are no longer there. Now you come to the community, you golf for $35 on some of the nicest courses, and you go buy a house for it, right?
So George, I'd like to take us down a different track. You've mentioned a foundation, and that seems like another unique aspect of your model. Yeah. And I'd like to learn more about how does your foundation work in, how are you giving back? Where are you giving back?
Yeah,
what's that look like?
Yeah, so one of the fortunate things is I like to test stuff before I tell other people about it. And so I worked at Snap, and one of the things we struggled with is I would spend like 40 hours writing a grant for $5,000. And then finally I just started funding them myself because I realized it would save me more time than applying. And I thought, man, there's got to be a way to get untethered funds into the community, or a program like Startup Spokane. There's got to be a way to get in there where they're not so overburdened with having to write a report back to me for the $2,500 that it negates that all you're paying for is that labor. Right. And one of the key pieces is we were looking for a business that could be a triple bottom line. Again, I like to be a little more innovative, so it's not like we went into a innovative place. But last year we were able to give about 50. Our goal would be one day to give $1 million into Spokane businesses. Wow. Kind of like the Kaufman Foundation in Kansas City.
Yeah, exactly.
I want that in Spokane.
That's fantastic.
What a way to give back. I mean, you're giving in so many different ways. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, no, I mean, so how does the foundation, what do you guys do as part of the foundation today? What kind of organization?
Me and Joel sit in a room. Somebody gives us hey, can you fund this?
Okay.
Huh. Yeah. So this year we sat down and said, all right, what are our priorities? So right now we fund veteran activities.
Okay.
Mostly, and then entrepreneurship related activities.
And so if people are interested, if in making a proposal for a grant from you.
Yep. So what you'll see coming out in January will probably be an RFP, request for proposals, and then we'll look to kind of fund them, and we set aside money for that. And it's just, I don't know. It's doing what you say and really getting behind it, not just saying it for the social media effect and the good feeling. So
that's great. I mean, and it makes a big difference. Sometimes just a small infusion of cash can make a big difference for a small company or an organization or an institution that is trying to do good things or overcome some challenges for people.
Exactly. We brought in somebody, and it was $1,700 for a Mac Air book. It was another $200 for all the software and stuff you needed. And I thought, man, when we started, that $2,000 would have been so hard to get. Like, what if?
Yep.
What if
it's impactful, right? I mean, you're changing someone's life and giving them an opportunity to do something that they might not be able to do otherwise. Jordan, you know, you're on fire, man. You're doing great things for our community, for our region. We are very fortunate to have you. I'm thrilled to have had you as our guest today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I hope we'll join us next time for future podcasts where we feature more entrepreneurs and more entrepreneurial activities happening in our region. We'll see you next time on Startup Spokane on Spokane Talks Media.
Startup Spokane is produced in Spokane, Washington by SpokaneTalksOnline.com, which is a joint effort between GSI's Startup Spokane, Well Dressed Walrus, and Spokane Talks Online. Ask a question, recommend a guest, and hear this program again online anytime at SpokaneTalksOnline.com. We wish you a great and profitable day.